Chinese and Western intelligence services hunting down the 5G telecom executives. The so-called coronavirus pandemic has now been definitely traced to 5G electromagnetic attacks. Multiple sources agree. In order to stop the hardliners and prevent the all-out war, an active hunt has begun for all industry executives and all experts involved in the 5G rollout. Western and Asian secret intelligence sources agree. The targets include the now-deceased Bush family and the Chinese Song family, the sources say. The hunt is necessary to stop the full-scale thermonuclear war because our analysis of the forensic data showed a provocations of war. That is to say, we see a full all-out war as highly probable, MI6 sources say. Chinese hardliners, for their part, are pushing for the destructions of New York in retaliation for the attack on Wuhan, something that could also precipitate a world-destroying war, Asian secret society sources say. There is also new evidence the current pandemic attack on humanity has been planned long in advance. Remember the US dollar bills commemorating the 9/11? Well, now take a look at the money issued in the US and UK to commemorate this pandemic attack. The first is a fruit-bat quarter issue in the 2020 by the US Mint. The second is a new UK £20 note featuring a picture of a 5G cell phone tower and above it, a coronavirus. This showed how arrogant these people are and how they plan long-term, while the rest of us must react to what is immediately happening. However, that is no longer the case with both the British Secret Services and the Pentagon White Hats, now actively targeting the families that own the Federal Reserve Board, the BIS, the European Central Bank, and the Bank of Japan. MI6 sources say, we can sum up the current hybrid World War III as two camps of belligerents, those who would protect the sovereignty of the traditional nation-state and those who would supersede this and impose their will by way of hybrid advanced technological totalism. Pentagon sources for their part say the death of George Bush, first Treasury Secretary Paul O'Neill, may signal the purge of Wall Street, as the Fed was taken over and the exchange suburbilations that fund diverted from CIA and the deep state. Also, banks may be nationalized and forced to pay a tax on all financial transactions to replace the unconstitutional income tax, the sources say. The Bushes were terminated on collateral intelligence from MI6 following the deep dive on Annan, Saki, and Basil, European royal family sources say. For those of you who do not know, Adam Saki was the holder of the sovereign titles of all nations, corporations, central banks, and currencies. Saki did not want this title, but was given it and given the responsibility. He promised to free humanity from religious, political, economic, and corporate enslavement. Unfortunately, the Bushes and their Nazi friends killed him and fraudulently took over the accounts. The Bushes Sr. and Jr. were also involved in the theft of Tesla patents. They kill and steal this like all mafia. The MI6 sources say, the aim of the current pandemic engineered by the Bush-Rothschild faction is to centralize control and carry out an organic purge of the human population, CIA sources confirm. In the U.S., 5G is being strongly pushed by Attorney General William Barr and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Barr has also prevented the 11 September truth from being disclosed. For those of you who think Barr will, with his fiscal gain, is a white hat, think again. This man needs to be removed from the U.S. body politic ASAP. Before we go further though, let's explain why this pandemic attack on the human race is centered on 5G by quoting a reader comment based on the work of 3 Nobel Prize-winning doctors. 5G electromagnetic radiation injures human cellular DNA. The exposed cells of all kinds within the human target respond by producing a cascade of immunological protection substances. These substances are packaged in an intracellular structure called an endosome. The endosome is expelled from the cell, becoming an exosome. The exosome circulates and binds to the ACE2 receptors of the lung, gut, and heart. The exposed cell response is the same if the exposure is 5G or COVID-19. The immunological chemicals in the exosome package attack the ACE2 processing cells, producing the effect of 5G radiation exposure or the flu, which is being covered up as COVID-19. The COVID-19 case rate is 96% in 5G areas and only 4% in 4G or lower areas. 5G is being deployed in well-popular areas. Now we would expect more cases there, but the mortality rate for known outcomes is over 2 times higher in the 5G areas. This cannot be just due to COVID-19, and we have statistical evidence of this for over 1.9 million cases. The election's microscopic appearance of the endosome-exosome structure are being incorrectly referred to as the virus, particularly in the cell or circulation. The Nobel Prizes of Medicine was won for work on this in 2013. Still not convinced? Well, how about this? Professor Zizka Ben Israel of Tel Aviv University plot the rates of new coronavirus infections of the US, UK, Sweden, Italy, Israel, Switzerland, France, Germany, and Spain. The numbers told was a shocking story, irrespective of whether the country quarantined like Israel or went about business as usual like Sweden. Coronavirus peaked and subsided in the exact same way. In other words, the current pandemic could not have been caused by a virus, or else the quarantines should have made statistical differences. The Japanese government confirmed the dangers of 5G when they tested on the cruise ship Diamond Princess before stopping, at the last minute, a planned nationwide rollout of technology. This rollout was being pushed by Bush allied and Song family representative Song Masayoshi of SoftBank, Asian Secret Society sources say. Here's what the P3 Freemason had to say about this. 10% of the Chinese Communist Party is in the hands of sister of Madame Song, a very cruel woman. She is in contact with the daughter of Xi Jinping. They are under the control of Zionists and the backside of Israel via the Red Star Foundation using Quanto 49. If the Song family has anything they wish to say on their behalf, they know how to contact this writer. Remember, the attack on Wuhan was traced to a company owned by the Soros Foundation, which is a Rothschild front. The Rothschild are allied with the Chinese faction that supports the idea of a man-made Armageddon. Okay, now let us take a look at some of the other huge changes taking place around the world as this hybrid war rages on. In the US, NSA officials have noted that US President Donald Trump has been replaced by a new Trump. The new Trump has whited out the eyes and does not have the choice of previous Trump, they say. However, a source in the White House close to Trump say, no, same Trump, but he does have an almost perfect double. He has skin cancer and they are doing patches. They cannot do normal treatment because he would be away from business too long and he doesn't want the public to know. In other words, the double is being used for public appearance because of the patches, but the real Trump is still in charge. However, there's a clear civil war raging inside an increasing chaotic U.S. In the latest developments, the Pentagon has deployed 10,000 troops each to Washington, D.C. and New York to clean up capitalists. Pentagon sources say Trump has also called for the liberation of Michigan, Minnesota, and Virginia. The U.S. military is now mopping up, is how Pentagon sources describe the situation. Maybe, but the fight is clearly raging on in this chaotic hybrid war, as prisoners are being released en masse. Central bank money is being distributed directly to the people while trade has frozen, and the economy is still in tailspin. There are also attempts to create food shortages in the U.S. by shutting down meat and other food processing plants using this electronically engineered pandemic as an excuse. To deal with the situation, U.S. troops are being returned from Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Saudi Arabia, and other parts of the world. In Asia, the U.S. has withdrawn all of its B-52 bombers from Guam. Of course, one must ask why the US still have B-52s, which were created in 1952 when they have anti-gravity technology, making these planes totally obsolete. The fact that the U.S. Air Force Academies graduate and now join the U.S. Space Force shows the disclosure of hidden technology is imminent, and that may be why the B-52 disasters are retiring. Pentagon sources note, Trump signed an executive order to open space to international cooperation on resource extraction, effectively calling for a multipolar world order and an end for wars. In Europe, meanwhile, CIA sources report German Chancellor Angela Merkel, French President Emmanuel Macron, and UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson have all been replaced. In the UK, we were able to confirm via a friend of the family that Johnson's father has been unable to get in contact with his son. This is chaos in much of the rest of the world as well. IFM Managing Director Christolian Georgieva says that 100 countries have asked for emergency financial assistance. However, it seems that the IMF itself does not have money because it is urgently seeking for $18 billion in new loan resources. Sorry, isn't this the same IMF that say it has distributed $8 trillion recently via G20? If they're handing out trillions, why are they begging for billions? The overall insanity being observed by the West is the result of a broken paradigm collapsing. The IMF, World Bank, the UN, and other pillars of this broken system are going to be either radically reconstructed or replaced with new organizations, according to European royal family sources involved in rebooting the system. It is likely there will be more hardship and chaos because the old system needs to be demolished before it can be replaced with a new paradigm. However, the people involved in this ongoing pandemic should all be rounded up by early May, CAA, MI6, and Pentagon sources say. So hopefully, April showers will bring May flowers.